Call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Regier. Be resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region convene into a public meeting in connection with one zoning bylaw amendment. Ross Concession 1 WML Part Lot 3 168 Snake River Line. All those in favor? No, not yet. We have to
read it.
Go ahead.
This zoning bylaw amendment pertains to the subject lands Ross Concession 1, WML Part Lot 3, also known as 168 Snake River Line. The purpose of the amendment is to rezone approximately 2.5 hectares of a 10.34 hectare farm property to permit a private school and possibly a future church to serve the local Mennonite community. The effect of the amendment is to rezone the 2.5 hectare parcel from rural to community facility exception 2 holding. The CF E2 zone holding will permit only the proposed school and the church uses in addition to the existing farm use on the 2.5 hectare parcel of land. Development may only proceed once council is satisfied that the development conditions of the CF-E2 holding zone have been met to its satisfaction. Conditions include site plan agreement that will incorporate an approved site plan, lot grading and drainage plan, a servicing plan, a hydrogeological investigation with nitrate impact assessment, and any recommendations from an approved servicing options report. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission at this public meeting or make a written submission before the bylaw is passed, they are not entitled to appeal the township's decision to the Ontario Municipal Board. Nor may they be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the OMB unless the board agrees there are reasonable grounds to do so. Now, I do have one letter of objection from Doug Patterson, and I'll just read it out for everybody. This letter would be my objection to council proceeding with the application to amend the zoning bylaw 23-92 as it is premature. The severance number 76-15 has not been approved yet by the County of Renfrew. In the general planning comments, the minimum distance separation has been discussed. The comments refer to MDS 1. Would an institutional use be MDS 2? The general planning comment states that the applicant has provided the required farm information and the calculations are favorable. Was the applicant aware of the fact that the Land Registry Office record shows 150 Cobden Road and 75 Camley Line as one parcel with one owner? I believe the increase in acres from 200 to about 400 will affect the distance calculations. I will provide copies of the Land Registry Office block map and pin printout. I just saw the subject on the council agenda. We did just receive this letter this morning.
Yes, Doug, we'll go to you for comments.
Good evening. Yes, we just received this letter this morning from Mr. Patterson. We were not aware that the properties were under one deed. Whether that will affect the MDS calculation or not at this time, we don't know. So what I would suggest to council is that we hold off on this zoning amendment passing it today to do the information, provide the correct information for the next council meeting that we can go forward. And we have talked to Mr. Brubaker about this also.
Any objections to Doug's suggestion? No, I think that sounds like the proper way to do. We don't have the right information, we shouldn't go forward.
That's correct. Whether, yes, the property might be deeded the two properties together, but there is a township road allowance that runs in between them. So they may be separate lots also. So we're going to have to do some investigation first.
Okay. Thanks, Doug. Moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Regier. Be it resolved that the public meeting of the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region be adjourned at 6:05. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. We jump down here pretty good. Okay. I think we'll bypass the prayer for this evening, and we'll move forward with disclosure of pecuniary interests. Seeing none. Moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Rigger. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region adopt the agenda for September 16th, 2015, regular council meeting. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. No, this is already tabled. We don't have to read it at all. Moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Rigger. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region adopts the minutes of the August 19th, 2015 meeting. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Rigger. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approve the attached schedule of general purpose accounts in the amount of $817,978.16, and water fund accounts in the amount of $22,262.76 for the period of August 1st to August 31st, 2015, and that all the above counts be paid. Any questions on the accounts payable? Yes, Reeve Miller.
Yeah, one quick question in regard to a comment that Bill made last meeting in regard to Cobb Motto. I would like an answer. It didn't happen the way we predicted at the last meeting. In regard to local buying, just your comment again, please.
I don't know why it's not showing up there. I spent about $3,000 with Cobb Motto last month. I know it doesn't show in the bills whether their statement didn't come in till after the bills are processed. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And guess we got questions for another department. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions on accounts payable? Councillor Mackay? None? Councillor Rigger? None. Reeve Miller, you had your shot. Councillor McLaughlin? All right. All those in favor of the motion to adopt the pay? Opposed, if any? Carried. Moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Rigger. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region receives and files department reports for the Treasurer, Public Works Department, Environmental Services, Fire Department, CEO, and Reeve. And we will start with the Treasurer is not here. Everybody, any questions? Maybe Hope can answer them if you have any. Or okay. Bill, have you got anything to add to yours? Okay, any questions for Bill? Councillor Mackay.
Bill, when they pave that road in Beachburg, will they be putting, people were asking me if they could put crosswalks at the bank and across, up by the Robinson Road for the kids?
We could request that the county put that in their painting schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've already told them that, or?
No, but I'll request it. I might not get done this year, but we'll look into it.
Well, if they don't get it done, we don't give them $2 million. Tell them.
You tell them that, yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor McLaughlin.
I'm just wondering, Bill, where are we with the Westmeath sand dome and the roof?
Actually, what's happened there, I was going to put that with my lead hand, Randy Buckwald. He's been off sick since the middle of June, or July, sorry. So, until he comes back, because he manages that facility, so hopefully we'll have enough time to get something done with it this year.
Well, it's been on the agenda, for 3 years now?
Absolutely.
So, I would really hope that we are going to do something. Like, I mean, I seen it, it's not really usable.
It's in bad shape. Well, no, we can still use it, but it's
pretty
getting...
bad shape now.
Yep. At this point, we're just trying to figure out whether it's more cost effective to replace it or to fix it.
I think we had that discussion at budget time, did we not?
Yep.
Yeah, because I was in favor of replacing it rather than fixing it, and I think it was decided that we'd go ahead and put a cover on it. Is that not correct?
Well, we're still, like I said,
Still
Randy was going to look after doing
Okay.
the tender up and looking after meeting with contractors and that. Unfortunately, he's been away.
Yeah.
So my time's been spent trying to look after the jobs that are going on rather than be in the office.
The other question I have, where are we with the tank for the dust collection?
We just got the 2 new trucks in a week or so ago, so now that we have the vehicles that they will be going into, now we'll put out for that.
So you're moving ahead?
Yep.
Oh, that's what I want to hear.
Yep.
As long as we're moving ahead, I want to, because I think we need to have that, both of those things in place by the end of the year.
Yep.
These mics are very touchy. When are we expecting Randy back?
He goes to the doctor again tomorrow to get reevaluated, and then I'll find out.
Okay. If he's going to still be a long time coming back, maybe we could designate that through to somebody else, even to, name eludes me, but anyway, the other lead hand.
And Darwin's off next week for 2 weeks.
Oh,
I'm stuck
okay.
with no lead hands.
All right. It's, we're closing in on time, so it's...
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Bill. Well, Doug, you got anything to add to yours? All right. Any questions for Doug? Environmental Services, Steve has gone to a training week, a training conference, yeah, I put it out as training. And Fire Department, we have no representatives here, and our CAO is at the same conference, and our Reeve, anything to add to yours report, and any questions for our Reeve for County Council activity? All right. Yes, Councillor Mackay.
Maybe you can put pressure on them to paint them lines on the road.
Yes, I'll talk to Steve Bolin about it. If you write me a little map of where you want them, is that okay, Bill? I can handle that. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Dave. Thank you, Reed Miller. All right. That's, all those in favor of accepting the reports? Opposed, if any? Carried. Moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Rigger. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region adopts the minutes of the Council in committee meetings of August 19, 2015 and September 2nd, 2015. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Rager. Be it resolved that the resolutions of the council in committee meeting held September 2nd, 2015 be accepted by council and become resolutions of council. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Be it resolved that the council of the township, moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Rager. I just sort of skipping over that. It seems to be a repetition thing. Be resolved that the council of the township of Whitewater Region approve that the following bylaw be introduced, read, dealt with, numbered, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed and recorded in the bylaw book. 1. 15-09-815. Amended Schedule A of 15-06-800 2015 tax rates. Number 2, 15-09-816 SCF funding agreement sewer plant grant. Number 3, 15-09-817 sewer plant upgrade JP2G project management agreement. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Yes.
I could just add something, Mr. Mayor. I think because of this evening we are a quorum of only 4, I think it's imperative that everyone participates and raises their hand whenever there is a movement made, okay? Just so that,
I think so.
we are just 4.
Yeah. Unless I vote otherwise, mine will be yes.
Thank you.
But I've been watching Councillor McLaughlin and have you got any questions, Councillor McLaughlin?
I'm just a little confused. I thought, did we go through the motions that came out of the committees?
Yes.
Did we go through them one by one?
Oh, no, we didn't go through them one by one. Would you like to do that?
Is that not the proper
Or have we done that
procedure? Am I wrong?
The last council meeting, we didn't do that. We just adopted them in one motion, which we did tonight. Now, I do have the motions here if you would like to go through them one by one.
I guess, I'm old hand, and in the past, I think it was always done that way. They came out of the committee, but it's just whatever majority wishes, that's fine.
We got a limited majority here tonight, so if you have a question, and you want to do it, you're pretty well winning. Would you like us to do that? Because we can do that. It just, the reason that we adopted it to do it the other way the last time is because our limited time our meeting's getting so long. And
Yes, and I understand that. I prefer that they go through them
okay.
quickly,
Any
one by
objections
one.
to that?
Yeah, I think we were just considering it, Darrell, we didn't want to get you too tired later on in the night, but if you want to, we will.
It's fine with me. I can go with whatever majority wants.
You have
Go
asked,
ahead, it's fine.
and you have the right to hear them. We are starting one at a time, and we'll do this there's any questions, I'll just bring them up as we go. Oh, yeah, right. Moved by Terry Miller, seconded by Kathy Rager. Be it resolved that the Corporate Service Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommends to Council that on a go-forward basis, the municipality will become a member of the Canadian Radio Communications Information and Notification Service. Further to the committee recommendations that CRINS perform an audit on the Rogers application for 18 Forsyth Falls Road to ensure that the proper public notice has been followed. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? None in favor. Moved by Kathy Rager, second by Terry Miller. Be it resolved that the Corporate Service Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommends to Council that a special meeting be held on October 28th for the annual strategic plan review in preparation for the 2016 budget cycle to guide Council in decision-making, priorities, and budget allocations. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? See. Moved by Kathy Rager, second by Terry Miller. Be it resolved that the Environmental Services Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region receives and files Aqua's second quarter service cost plus variance report for Cobden, Beachburg, and Haley water plants and the Cobden wastewater plant. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Terry Miller, seconded by Kathy Rager. Be resolved that the Environmental Services Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommend that Council sign and enter into a small communities fund agreement for $6,272,954 by law at the September 16th, 2015 regular council meeting. This funding is for the rebuilding of the Cobden wastewater plant. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Kathy Rager, seconded by Terry Miller. Be it resolved that the Environmental Services Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommend that Council sign and enter into the JP2G Cobden Wastewater Project Management Agreement by bylaw at September 16th, 2015 regular council meeting. All those in favor? Oh, question, Councillor Mackay. No, sorry. Councillor McLaughlin. You Scottish guys.
I thought we had discussed this, and I thought we put a bridge figure on it. Am I wrong?
We did. Don't think we did a bridge figure. We did a. They were coming back to us with a contract that we could approve. Sorry.
I believe you did discuss that. Within the draft agreement, they did provide a total cost as well as an environmental assessment cost, and it is in the agreement that is to be passed this evening.
Yeah, those were those small figures that my eyes had a very hard time to see.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if we, if there was like a top line figure.
Yeah. I can grab that for you.
I apologize, Councillor McLaughlin. I thought it was a good question. If we can't answer it, we won't pass it. If that's okay, we'll get the further information.
Oh, that's fine with me, yeah. Why don't...
If it's okay with Kathy and Terry, we'll just put that off to the side for now until we get the what do you want to do?
It's coming up here.
Okay. Councillor Mackay, I believe when we pass this, we move to the next one that's... Hope you have a document that specifies this for us? Yep. McLaughlin has a very good question there. So we can put that down. But the environmental, they have to start with the environmental, and that's a solid figure, I believe. Yeah, the number is 222,260, but you have your glasses on, and you have your glasses, you get it. I'll just throw that at you. Anybody else want to view that? We'll pass it around at the moment. Sorry to take the time.
The total for project management
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and then this one is the, and then this one, would you like to? Okay. Okay, so the management services, project management services line is 203,164 for the project. Okay, and do you want to go through? I can shoot that one down to you too. All right.
No, I just would like the figures put in.
Okay. That makes very good sense. Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin. We shall do that. You're doing that now. Then we're going to vote on it. That's what he's asked, if we'd put those figures in the motion.
Sure.
Okay. That makes more sense because we haven't passed it or signed it yet. Just see. Mover Kathy and seconder Terry, we have modified the motion to put in the amounts. You're okay with that? I shall read it. Moved by Kathy Rigger, seconded by Terry Miller. Be it resolved that the Environmental Services Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommends that council sign and enter into the JP2G Cobden Waste Project Management Agreement by bylaw at the September 16th, 2015 regular council meeting, with the cost of the project management being $203,164 and the cost of the environmental assessment being $222,260. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Moved by Dave McKay, seconded by Kathy Rager. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approves that the following bylaw be introduced, read, dealt with, numbered, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed and recorded in the bylaw book. 1. 15-09-815, amended Schedule A of 15-06-800, 2015 tax rates. Number 2. 15-09-816 SCF Funding Agreement Sewer Plant Grant. Number 3, 15-09-817 Sewer Plant Upgrade JP2G Project Management Agreement. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. by David McKay, seconded by Kathy Regier. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region receive and file correspondence 1 through, how many we have? 1 through 2. Yes. Number 1 is Foresters Falls Public Library official opening. That would be on the 26th of September at 10 a.m., I believe. We're going with 9:30. Okay. So the open house begins at 9:30. That's a good thing, because my first one was 10. Yes, I will be in attendance, and Councillor McLaughlin.
I will be out of town that weekend.
Okay.
Sorry.
At the market, and Reeve Miller. You should be there. Okay. I agree, you should be there. All right, and number 2. So there'll be representation there for sure. And the other correspondence is a letter of thanks from the Cobden and District Civitan Club for helping them with their fundraisers. So all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Moved by Dave McKay, seconded by Kathy Regier. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region issue a formal letter of concurrence to Rogers with a copy of Industry Canada to permit Rogers Communications Inc. to move forward with the installation of the proposed wireless communication site located at 18 Foresters Falls Road, Cobden, under the following conditions. Rogers must obtain an entrance permit and verify that the access route meet MTO requirements and or the County of Renfrew. Yeah, this isn't an MTO issue. And must include compliance with the Ministry of Environmental Services, environment regulations and requirements around source water protection, including erosion and sediment control. Number 2, Rogers must obtain clearance from the Ministry of Natural Resources and Ministry of Environment to construct the access road as proposed and make any changes that are required to obtain approval prior to construction. Rogers must provide an undertaking to the Township of Whitewater Region to such an effort prior to the issue of the formal letter of concurrence. Any questions? I personally have, I can give comments too, right? I have an issue with us telling anybody that they have to get a hold of somebody. That's an actual requirement of a building system that they have to meet on their own requirements. For us to tell them they have to do that, that has to be followed, and for us to direct it, I don't see I don't think that's our responsibility. That's the responsibility of Rogers to obtain that on their own. Because I don't think we should be incurring any kind of costs or anything else over that they have to incur all of that. We will, of course, be inviting to the mic the 2 gentlemen involved here, but and in the other thing is for sure a county road, and there's already a permit that goes, a permitted entranceway there. I'm under the impression, just my comments, and I would like give me the name. No, the other guy. Todd. a shot at it, but we go with our representative first. Yeah, seriously.
And I think this is on perfect.
We sometimes are informal with our formalities.
That's
Sorry.
perfectly fine.
All right, any questions for this gentleman?
Would you like me to
Yes, I
speak
just...
to the recommendations, perhaps, and provide a little background to that? Okay. So, there were 4 concerns that were presented by the public, and as you'll note in the report, one had to do with property values, one had to do with health and safety, one had to do with the access road itself. Oh,
Wait,
sorry.
turn the mic on, yes, absolutely.
I think the mic is on.
Thank you.
There we go. So there were four concerns primarily. One was property values. The second one was a health and safety concern with respect to both people and livestock. There was a question regarding the safety of the proposed access route because of the location of it. And the fourth one was concerns that the site would be located on or near wetlands that affected the Muskrat Lake ecosystem. So, in the evaluation and the mandate that we took away from the meeting on September 2nd was to make sure a couple of things that occurred. First, that the consultation had been done correctly according to the Industry Canada protocol, because that was the protocol that was in place when this application was submitted. The second was to determine whether there were any anomalies in the site and in the process that was undertaken. So we evaluated all the information that we've been provided, the correspondence back and forth. We found that the Gilchrists had responded to the Rogers communication requesting comments. The deadline was to be August 21st. They commented by August 16th, which under the Industry Canada rules sets up the precedent that they now have a line of communication to go back and forth with Rogers up to a period of 120 days. So that began, and that process went back. So there was communications on the 16th. There was responses from Rogers on, I believe, on the 24th of August, where Rogers addressed these 4 issues. But then we separately looked at the issues to determine what the reality was. With respect to property values and municipal taxes, Industry Canada has some very strict interpretations on that. They say it's not relevant. From their perspective, the impact on property values and property taxes is not a consideration that Industry Canada uses as to whether a tower is acceptable, any more than they generally consider, where a hydro pylon would be placed. So they don't take that as a factor, and they would frown upon any municipality that said no to a tower based solely on the impact on property values or municipal taxes, as would be more inclined for the municipality. The second aspect, in terms of health and safety, the requirement is that all proponents must meet Health Canada Safety Code 6 at all times. So that's an ongoing obligation for all proponents. If a proponent can prove that they will be able to meet that obligation, and in fact it's a requirement for their spectrum license, then that is their obligation is completed. Some people have expressed concerns as to whether they feel Safety Code 6 is adequate. That is considered irrelevant from Industry Canada's perspective. Safety Code 6 is a standard. It's not the proponent's obligation to prove that Safety Code 6 is adequate. That's Health Canada's role. Simply, the proponent must follow Safety Code 6, and that is what is in place. And once again, someone coming and saying, as long as the tower does meet Safety Code 6, someone's showing up and saying, well, we don't believe Safety Code 6 is adequate, is not considered a relevant piece for specific consultation. That's a discussion that can be had with Health Canada. And in fact, there are organizations nationally that are having that conversation. But again, at a municipal level and on an individual proposal, that is not a stopping issue. So those were the first 2. So we had 2 more after that. One was the access road itself. And there was the Gilchrists had expressed, and also as part of their petition, whether that access road was really safe. And so one of the things that there is a road there, as we know, but one of the questions is whether the sightline distances have ever been evaluated for traffic. And when we talk about radio communication sites, we talk about municipal concerns, but under the federal requirements, proponents must meet the National Building Code and the National Fire Code. And so the question is that access road adequate for fire services to be provided to that site? And so I would suggest that that road would definitely need some upgrading, just based on having looked at it. But that is something that both, either the county, if it's a county road, or if it's the fire marshals, but there is obviously someone who would have to establish that those sight lines are adequate and that the width and the construction is suitable.
Okay, make me clear what road we're talking about. Is it you're talking about the entrance or the county road?
The entrance road, there is an access road that comes from the county road, Forster Falls Road, and proceeds up to the site. There's an existing piece of the road, and then there's going to be a new extension based on the plans provided by the proponent. So the existing access road exists today, and it has a certain width and a certain construction, but that may not be deemed adequate for commercial heavy trucks and equipment to go up. And certainly for ongoing fire protection, if a fire truck had to get up there, would they be able to reach it? So that's one of the questions, and that's part of the National Fire Code requirement that the proponents must meet. So we're not here to establish whether it does or it doesn't. It's something that would have to be reviewed by a professional engineer and reviewed as part of, the fire department would have to take a look at that. So that's so those three things: the sight line distances, getting in and out of that driveway, getting in and out of that access, and what the road construction standards have to be to make that road adequate. Most of the proponents have to deal with this in all other sites, so it's nothing new, but it certainly is something that would have to be addressed. Whether a separate entrance permit is needed, which is quite often what will happen, is someone will go and get an entrance permit, and that will trigger the evaluation. So that was where that recommendation came from, is that access road needs to be evaluated by the various parties that would typically evaluate an access road. So that was that first one. Any questions on that?
I believe that's a standard issue.
Yeah.
Anything that's being built, just a nod from either Mike or Doug, anything that's going to require fire protection will have to have a road that's adequate to get you there, correct? Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's what we want to make sure was going to occur.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's absolute standard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next recommendation was, or next question, and again, the Gilchrist had brought this up, was they were concerned about whether the site was on wetlands that were affecting the Muskrat Lake ecosystem. The physical tower is not located on wetlands. However, the access road, both the existing portion and part of the new extension that is being proposed, would be over wetland features. And as a result, that requires evaluation by possibly Ministry of Natural Resources and in the Ministry of the Environment, because this is a water feature. And so consequently, you can't just go building roads over these features. They have to be approved. Erosion control, sediment control are issues. So especially when you're building a tower on a hill, you can't have gravel and ground running down the hill and into the waterways, even if it seems like it's just a swamp or a marsh. And this is the Cobden Marsh. It's a designated, provincially recognized water feature. So, and in the report, you'll see a picture of those various water feature components. So, really, Rogers needs to have that evaluated. Again, it's really not a municipal land use issue specifically, but it's certainly provincially, the province needs to be involved to evaluate that, because it is a designated wetland feature. Yeah. So we just wanted to make sure that those two things were captured. It spoke to the public comments that they wanted to make sure that had been looked at. Those two things need to be looked at. So that's it.
Yes. If it's all right with council, at this point I would like to ask Mr. Belchamber to to come and sit beside you, because we're going to start asking questions that both of you are going to need to answer somewhat, if that's okay with both.
We're friendly.
Yeah. If you start swinging at each other, we'll think it over.
Okay.
So, I'm going to start out with a question, and that is, in your experience of making access roads, you have to deal with all of these things as a proponent of making the road, correct? Erosion control in this day and age is absolutely mandatory.
Yes,
So,
we would abide by that requirement.
we go a little bit farther than that. Short statements don't satisfy anybody.
Sure.
Just explain, you must have a handle on what it would take. Just explain what erosion control measures that you would be possibly looking at. I'm sure you have that all under control.
In the past, we've had to put hay bales, screening, sediment screening.
Silt fences, what?
Exactly, silt
That's right,
fence.
okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, the people that have a concern, they'd like to know exactly what that entails if they're not aware of it, so I'm just gonna ask you to expand on it. I know what it is because I do it every day,
Sure.
but
A silt fence is a black fabric that reduces the potential for debris to enter into a sensitive waterway, or in this case, a marsh, it would seem. Construction itself is outside of my scope. My scope is acquiring a property and taking it through municipal consultation. If the township would like specific information in terms of an erosion and sediment control plan prepared for approval, I can definitely have that prepared.
usually that's something that M&R will come and view before you're allowed to use the road.
Sure.
They will come and assess it and give you recommendations before you can put a shovel in. And it's all standard, like you wouldn't be allowed to do it anywhere anymore. It wouldn't matter if you're beside a wetland or you're not. But that would be what they will come. There's no cost to that. They'll just come and tell you, this is what you have to have. When you get it in place, they will come back and tell you you have it right, and then they will probably do a third assessment. They don't charge anybody for it, but it's to protect the wetlands, and it's to be done correctly. So that's an absolute mandatory of any new road, and I hope silt fence goes in, and it's subcutaneous to the sod. The sod is then put over a lap so that anything that comes up comes against the silt fence. It also is used to protect from turtles or anything migrating into the construction area or up into an area where you're working. Just so it's kind of an explanation for everybody. Okay, and then are there any more questions? Kathy? No? Terry? Councillor McLaughlin, have you got any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. I don't know if I have any. I have to get into the memory banks here. Oh, okay. In our motion, we have that you must, I think that's an absolute obligation, and I think you're well aware of that. So, again, that's standard procedure, and I think we can strike that from our motion, because we shouldn't be the lawmakers in that it's the ministry has to do it. Go ahead.
What is typical, and since it sounds like so what is typical, and usually when we do other applications, which we'll be doing in the future for you, normally we ask for an undertaking, or the undertaking basically being that Rogers will come back and provide proof of all of these things. It's just a standard thing so that we have a public record of it, because these are things that are important. We know that they have to be done, but we usually ask for the proponent to say, here's what M&R has said, here's what the design was, here's the approval, and we just keep those as copies. Everything within CRINS we keep for 7 years, so people have a record and can go and look this stuff up. So that's why we've asked for it, and it's,
This is Dave's motion anyway. I still question a little bit of it. I'd be okay if it said, follow the guidelines of M&R. MOE is really not a proponent at this time that should be entered into, because that would be the water quality at our plant more so. And I would ask if that's all right, if we just said they must follow the guidelines. Dave?
I think that would be standard.
We would just, where it has that, just must follow the guidelines. If required, put if required, but again, it's a county road, so it's not our dealing. I'm going just to make this as a statement of interest from me, and because there are a lot of people most likely concerned with it, and that is with radio towers and white light and all of that kind of thing that have been proven to be wrong, but I would like you to speak a little to that, if you could.
Sorry, speak to...
The safety hazards of a tower itself.
Sure.
Through time and what I've read and whatever, in reality it is very minor.
Sure.
It has been considered, but that's not me. That's just proven. But people that are going to be living near need to know that it's not a safety hazard. They need to know the routes that they can come and talk to you guys. And to put this in perspective, we can only say that we are giving in principle. We don't own the land. We could make recommendations to make sure our people are safe, but again, it's only a recommendation or when we don't own the land or the land around it, and it's in past our jurisdiction, my personal feeling is we are trying to protect our citizens, but it's not our jurisdiction. But we still I would like you to be able to do as I've said many times, do the education. Anybody wants to know anything, that
Sure.
You have somebody that they can talk to. If they have something in the future, they have somebody to talk to.
Sure. In a nutshell, Rogers I was present for the community information and comment session, where I had two gentlemen show up that expressed curiosity about the proposed location without any opposition. And that was the extent of the people that attended the information session, where there was an opportunity to have a face-to-face discussion surrounding the siting of the tower, the public consultation requirements that Rogers has to follow, the fact that there was extensive pre-consultation with the township in terms of an initial location having been brought forth, and then having chosen an alternate location based on community feedback. In this case, we feel it's appropriately cited that the impact on the surrounding land uses will be minimal, and when it comes to safety concerns, we're surrounded every day by radio frequency emissions. And as Todd mentioned, we do have to abide by the thresholds put out in Safety Code 6 by Health Canada. We found that typically at the bottom of the towers we're hundreds, if not thousands of times below that allowable threshold, which means we're not anywhere near the limits, we're not pushing the boundaries. We absolutely have to abide by these boundaries, or else we lose our spectrum license and, in essence, shutter our doors. We feel that there's a drastic need for enhanced coverage in this area. Having driven through here on a number of occasions at this point, I routinely either drop calls or have no reception at all. We feel that for economic development, for residents, for tourists to the area, cell phone coverage is ubiquitous and is expected. And for safety reasons, for staff, for residents, for a whole host of reasons, we feel that it's a really important project and one that we're willing to invest significant capital in to help increase the coverage in the area.
We are definitely in a cell phone era, iPads and everything else, and we're getting more away from land-based whatever. I agree with all of that, but not that you're missing the point, but my point is that I want to make sure that everybody at any time can talk to Rogers and have questions answered to their satisfaction, let's say, would be a fair comment. There's got to be something in place. Am I correct?
I think there's sort of a twofold thing. First, CRINS provides general education, so if anybody within the Whitewater region had just general questions, we're we are there, we are there to answer those questions. If they have a specific concern about the Rogers facility, then yes, they certainly should contact Rogers directly and say, ask their question. Again, they are required by their spectrum license to meet Safety Code 6. If there was some concern that, somebody wasn't feeling well or there was some issue, that would be something they'd want to have Rogers come out and just verify that the tower is in fact operating within the Safety Code 6 specifications. They usually do annual audits to make sure that the equipment and the wiring, sometimes squirrels get in there and start chewing on wires occasionally, so they have to go and fix the wires and things like that. So there is an ongoing maintenance function that I think all proponents undertake. And so if certainly somebody noticed something that was wrong at the tower, they would contact Rogers, and Rogers would send somebody out to look at it. I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah, that again is an understood maintenance issue. You're still getting more along the lines of the people. When the people want a question answered, we just want to make sure that they have something that's in place so that next year they phone somebody and they can have somebody come out and talk to them. You must have something like that in place.
The consultation with the Land Use Authority is in place by Industry Canada for good reason, to provide communities with a voice to express any concern or get answers to their questions. At this point, we've gone through the mandatory process. We've received the one piece of correspondence from the Gilchrist with the petition. We've addressed those concerns that were deemed to be reasonable and relevant, and my contact information is available. There's a public relations office within Rogers. I mean, all those things do exist. You're exactly correct. But for this site specifically, the process has been adhered to. It's been followed very closely, and
now you're touching into where I'm asking. That's very good. I appreciate that. Now, any further questions from council? Okay, I'm going to read this again because we've changed it. You read that.
So moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Regier. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region issue a formal letter of concurrence to Rogers with a copy to Industry Canada to permit Rogers Communications, Inc. to move forward with the installation of the proposed wireless communication site located at 18 Forsters Falls Road, Cobden, under the following conditions. They meet the requirements and regulations of the Ministry of Natural Resources. Rogers must provide an undertaking to the Township of Whitewater Region to such an effect prior to the issue of the formal letter of concurrence.
Any further questions? All those in favor? Carried. One against.
I'd like to abstain from this and table it until full council's here. I'm sorry.
Okay, we can do that.
Is that something I can do?
It actually
No.
passed, so I don't know if we can do that.
And what is the purpose of that, Reeve Miller?
You can abstain from it though, Reeve Miller, if you wish. But that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's just a quorum, right?
You still got going?
To matter, Reeve Miller, of voting no? Or?
Yeah, you can vote no, so then, okay. Those against? Terry, okay. Carried. Going forward. Oh, this is, yes. You know what, this should be going... Thank you, gentlemen.
Can I be excused for a minute?
Yeah. I would like this piece of correspondence to come to a committee meeting, will be number 2 on our correspondence. Unfinished business, we never had it before.
So the boat launch issue we will bring to the Recreation Department, is that?
That's correct.
Okay.
There has to be discussion on that at a committee meeting. Moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Rager. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region acknowledge receipt of and approval of 2015 Budget PSAB Basic Report as required under Ontario Regulation 284-09. Any questions? I'll read this one again, Terry. Moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Rager. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region acknowledge receipt of and approval of the 2015 Budget PSAB Basic Report as required under the Ontario Regulation 284-09. Yes.
What did you do about the tower? Terry said no. Did you pass it or did you not?
It's passed. There was a quorum.
What is happening when?
It will then move forward to probably the next step, which is, not even sure what the next step is. Doug? Yeah, there's a lot of hoops to jump through yet.
I think in the process, I think it'd have to go through the M&R process for the approval of the road and stuff like that to make sure it's been done correctly. Probably the entrance, the county should comment on the entrance to make sure its visibility is good. And then they would go forward if they satisfy that, their recommendations to council.
Yes. So in a nutshell, what that is saying is this council has said you can move forward, and if you can meet all of the rest of the criteria, the gentleman have gone, okay. If they can meet the rest of the criteria, they can continue, and it's in the hands of the federal government at this point. Not on the agenda, I'm sorry.
But our name's on the agenda. You just said our names every time. You said Harold Wilson has a problem. Harold Wilson has a problem. Every time when these guys were here. So I'm not on the agenda, but my name is. That's not right.
Well, that,
We were told we could come anytime and do this. Come to the meeting. We were to come to the meetings about the tower. We were here the last time, we talked about that. We were asked to come again. Nobody on this township gave us the okay, other than the guy that was here, let us know that this meeting was even happening.
that was it.
You were supposed to let us know.
That was his responsibility, and he did that.
He did that, but you were to do it too. He was here last time. We were all here, and we all talked
Okay,
about it.
that's,
Gary Miller talked about it, and they said we were to come back. And we checked that.
the only thing I can do is say, is follow up. I have no idea what our CAO is not present.
You were here.
I was here. Yes, absolutely I was here. And we asked to have our consultant, which we adopted at the time, make a report to find out if this was being done correctly. And that's, the conclusion was it was.
And why did we have no say?
I believe you did have say in it. That was the report that we got, was you did have an opportunity to ask the questions and get the answers.
Yes, but everything was all, Rogers was all, threw us away right off the bat. We didn't bring it in time, we didn't do anything right, and all of a sudden, now you're passing something that, like Terry says, only half of yous are here. Nobody knows what they're doing in reality, because half of them that were here last week are gone.
there is a quorum, though. There is an issue that if there's a quorum and we vote, then it has to be.
Why did you only vote, but you didn't pass other things? Because it wasn't enough paperwork.
We have gone through quite a bit of,
Like Darryl just changed it, doing all the different ones all at once, you did all at once, you had to go back and redo them all, because, and there was issues on every one of them.
there was only an issue on one, wasn't there, Councillor McLaughlin? And we corrected it? Anyway, that's not the conversation. We didn't, I don't have your name on the agenda, and hope you can talk to that.
Just those particular resolutions that we reread and rectified, they were council and committee motions that were made, so we have to pass them in regular council. So that's why we did that. Once they do get passed in regular council meetings, such as we did now, it's passed. We do have quorum here.
I can look for advice, but my understanding is there's a quorum, so it goes to the next step. It's not over yet, because it still has to run through all of the federal government stuff. All we're saying is it's met the criteria at this level, and we don't have any real say beyond that. As I pointed out, we don't have the say for the entrance, we don't have a say for M&R, we don't have a say for any of that. We really don't. It's basically, if it's deemed to be safe, that's about all we're able to do, is ensure that it's safe. But I didn't see you on the agenda, so if that was a mistake made by our staff, we'll look into that. We will be asking questions and interfering with the process to try and make sure that everything is followed. But I am very concerned about the fact that you have not been kept up to speed. I'm very concerned with that. Obviously, it's news to me, but that's not correct. What you're saying, we need to rectify, and we will rectify that. That's and we can make a motion to that effect. Terry Miller.
I would also like to offer Susan and Harold, and any of you for that matter, to come directly with some of this, and I'll try to work as an in-between between our staff for you to help correct what the mayor has said we must correct, and we realize the importance of getting back to people, and that's what we want to do. So